Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 312 on my countdown to retirement. So, this morning I started the day by researching a variety of Chinese carnivore, paleo, keto recipes with a focus on shumai and associated dim sum variations using pork and shrimp because I love Chinese food and just trying to figure out what I can do in the near term here to satisfy my Chinese food craving and still keep it very low carb. So then I focused on separating and vacuum sealing what I purchased yesterday. So my grocery haul across all the different stores that I went to. So first and foremost, I broke down the package of New York strip that I purchased at Costco for $11.99 a pound, which ended up costing me $61.03. And I put that into four individual vacuum sealed packages. They ranged from 19 ounces to 21 and a quarter ounce steaks. So pretty large steaks. Usually one of those steaks my wife and I split. So, it works out that's one meal for both of us, along with, a vegetable that she might want. Then I broke down a 21.12 ounce top sirloin that I purchased at Publix, which was $6.99 a pound or $9.23. And I cubed that to make into fondue, so a steak fondue that basically will cook in an oil. And then I vacuum sealed that. The trimmed steak, after removing all the fat and such, ended up being 16.875 ounces. So the effective cost of the steak was $8.75 a pound after all the fat was removed. Then I broke down a package of Heritage Farms chicken thighs. They're bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. They were $1.99 a pound, cost me $10.83 for the package. And I separated those into two packages of 4 thighs each and one package of 2 thighs. But before I did that, I deboned the chicken thighs so that when I go to cook them, they'll be skin on, but they'll be boneless. So it'll just make it easier, for us to eat. Plus, I'll be able to generate really crispy skin, which I prefer on the chicken at the time. Plus, it'll cook a little faster without the bone. Then I separated the chicken party wings that I bought at Costco for $2.79 a pound. Total cost of those was $21.90. I separated them into 3 packages of 2 packages each, 4 of which went into the freezer, 2 of which I put into the fridge, which we'll use for a meal over the next day or two. Then I purchased a package at Costco of skin on pork belly, and it was on sale for $8 off per package. So I bought an 11.77 pound package, and it ended up being $38.96 after the $8 discount. So that ends up working out to $3.31 a pound. And so my goal is to break that down into thick cut bacon slices. So I have a slicer, so I'll be able to cut a portion of that into bacon, and it'll be obviously uncured with no sugar, no other added seasoning. So I'll either season it myself or it'll just be a plain thick cut bacon. And then I'm going to take part of it and cut it into chunks, which I'll end up using in the sumai. And then I'll have other chunks that I'll cut up that I'll be able to use to create crispy bacon chunks in the air fryer. And the rest I've yet to decide how I'm going to handle that, but I'll separate it into a variety of different pork dishes that I can use over time. Then I had purchased at Publix both hot and mild pork sausage links, as well as ground pork that I'll use for making sausage and lentil soup for my wife. So the sausage links, the hot ones are for me for lunch. The mild ones are for my wife for her lunches. And then, as I indicated, the Publix pork Italian sausage, that's for um, using to make uh, lentil and sausage soup. And that also happens to be one of my wife's favorites. Like, so the recipe for that particular soup, if you care to try it yourself, and I need to look down for this, but I'll kind of walk you through quickly the recipe for making the lentil sausage and lentil soup. And by the way, the reason I started making this soup was we used to go to Carrabba's, and that was like my wife's favorite soup when we would go to Carrabba's. And so we haven't been there in a really long time. But in any event, I found the recipe, modified the recipe slightly, and she likes this soup better than what we used to get at Carrabba's. And, uh, her twin sister really likes this. So I've gotten lots of good feedback on this particular recipe. So I'm going to share it with you if you if you care to give it a try. So here's what it is. So the ingredients are 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil, the 16-ounce package of Publix mild Italian pork sausage, 1 yellow onion, medium, finely diced, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 cup of dry lentils, 8 cups of chicken broth made from better than bouillon roasted chicken base, 28 to 32 ounces of diced tomatoes, and I use Hunt's Petite diced tomatoes. You could use whatever. And 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And then the steps to actually make the soup are pretty simple. You get a pot that's capable of holding a minimum of 8 cups of liquid without overflowing. You add 8 cups of filtered water to the pot on medium high, and then you take 2 heaping tablespoons of the better than bouillon roasted chicken base, and I do mean heaping, like rounded tablespoons, certainly not level, like a good size tablespoon, 2 of those. And you put that into the water, and then you stir that constantly until it's dissolved, because it goes in kind of pretty thick when you first dropping it in. You add in 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning once that's fully dissolved, and you bring that boiling to a slow simmer, and then you shut off the heat. Then in a blender, food processor, or other device that you have, it could be an immersion blender, doesn't really matter, just something that you can take the petite diced tomatoes and effectively puree them. So you just put it into whatever your device is, pulse it a few times, it'll take it from the small chunks and make it into a puree, and then you set that off to the side. Then in a large stock pot over medium-high heat, you add in the olive oil, and then you dump in the 16 ounces of sausage, and then, basically break up the sausage, while it's browning, and it takes, I don't know, 5 to 7 minutes or so to brown. So you constantly break it up into smaller and smaller pieces, stirring it and chopping it, whatever, while it's in the pot. And then once it's well browned, you add in the diced onion and the minced garlic, and you'll cook that for another 2 to 3 minutes. And what you'll notice is as you're stirring it around, while you are browning the pork, part of it might have been sticking to the bottom of the pot. Well, the onions and the garlic help to deglaze that, and so it gets all of the sticky bits off the bottom of the pot that were associated with the pork. So you have a clean pot by the end, but you're basically softening, and slightly cooking both the onion and the garlic. And then you'll add in, carefully because it's hot, the chicken bouillon that you had in the other pot will now go into the stock pot. And then after that, you'll pour in the pureed tomatoes, and then you'll pour in a cup of the dry lentils. You'll stir to mix well, and then you'll cover and you'll bring that to a boil, and then you'll turn down the heat to a slow simmer, and you'll cook that for an hour and 15 minutes, stirring occasionally. And then it's ready to enjoy. So It's a pretty simple recipe, and actually it gets better with time. So when you first eat it, it's good, but then if you save, you can it, put it in the fridge, cool it down, have it the next day or 2 days later, the flavor intensifies over the next couple of days, so it gets much better. Anyway, I did that. Then I ran over. I mean, that's the recipe. Then I ran over to Sam's Club to check to see whether they had my pasture raised eggs back in stock because they've been out of eggs for quite a while now. They did have them in stock. They increased the price to $6.22 for 18, which works out to $4.15 a dozen. So it's basically the cost of regular eggs that you might get at a Publix, Kroger's, or whatever your normal grocer is. So the cost per dozen isn't prohibitive, but this is the second price increase they've had. So it went up over $1 in the last month, and it had previously gone up another, I want to say 35 to 50 cents on top of that. The last time we had kind of a egg scare or whatever. So, it continues to rise as other venues have for eggs. That being said, my renewal for Costco, I'm sorry, for Sam's is coming up shortly. And so I ended up just looking up how much I actually saved in the last year. And so last year they gave me a trial membership for a year for $25. And I thought, for $25, I'll give it a shot. We end up pretty much only buying a handful of items at Sam's Club. My wife buys coffee there. I buy the eggs. We buy some cheese that she uses on a certain kind of cheese she uses on salads, and 80-ounce jars of the Clausen pickles. That's like the only things that we buy there. And so over the last year, we've saved, was it $59.50? Well, now the renewal for me will be $50. So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I put in to cancel the membership, and pretty much my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they shop there regularly. So if I need one of those four things, I can just ask them to pick it up for me. We live close by. I'll give them the money for it, and they can just pick it up. And unless Sam's comes back and gives me another, we want you back here for $25 more or something that makes financial sense, I'm just not going to renew. We pretty much use Costco as our primary membership store. We go there and buy stuff extensively. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law don't have a membership to Costco, so we already do the shopping for them of anything that they want. So we'll call them like we did today from the store and say, hey, do you want this avocado dip or whatever it is that we know that they eat? They'll tell us if they want it or not. We'll pick it up, bring it back to them. No big deal. Anyway, that's happening there. Then I shot over to Lidl because they had pork loin on sale for $1.99. It started last Wednesday. I knew anytime there's a really good sale, if you don't really go on Wednesday, you're not getting it. I shot over there. I went to look. It sold out. Not surprising. So I didn't end up getting it. Then I came home, and by then it was like 3 o'clock. So I made the hot sausage, a Publix hot sausage on the grill. That became my lunch. And then afterwards, I started making the sausage and lentil soup for my wife. That was going to be her dinner tonight. So I made that. And then before I made my dinner, I took my blood glucose and my ketones to make sure, because then it was 24 hours after I ended my fast. So I wanted to confirm I was still in ketosis. I am, so I was happy with that. And then for my dinner, I ended up having a 1-pound ribeye and some steamed and then subsequently sauteed asparagus with chopped garlic on it, because I found previously when I was doing carnivore and then broke and started to become on keto that my stomach would get upset eating asparagus if it was just steamed or made some other way. But if I steamed it first and then I sauteed it in grass-fed butter with garlic, for whatever reason, it doesn't affect me then. Didn't raise my blood sugar, didn't upset my stomach. So now If I'm going to have asparagus, that's what I do. So anyway, that's my update for the day. If you have any questions, any comments, please put them in the comment section down below or drop me an email at myretirementramblings@gmail.com. Otherwise, have a great evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.